Well, today's video, I'm going to show you how I make my black pudding. What I done the other day, I put something up on my Facebook group and a couple of others, just asking people if they would like to see a video on how to make black pudding. And to be honest, the response was fantastic. So what I've done is I've got myself ahead a little bit. It's just because some of the stages take a little bit longer. But basically, the black pudding mix come in a bag like this. It's all dried. It's a 2 kilo bag, and on the front of it, it tells you exactly what you need, how much to add. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest. So what I've done, I've emptied the black pudding into my big pan here and added £4 of water. Now the £4 of water works out to about 2 litres of warm water. So you give it a mix up and let it sit for an hour, and that's what I've done. And I've added some grated back fat, and it does come already seasoned up with salt and spices and herbs, and it does taste good, but I just add a little bit more seasoning. I add a touch more pepper, some nutmeg and some allspice and a shot of brandy, and it works really well, this does. And the company I use for it is Weschenfelder. It's where I get all my seasonings from, all my burger presses, all my papers for my burgers, my sausage skins, everything. They're a good company. They deliver really quick. So yeah, give them a look up. So like I said, the first thing I've done is got the black pudding mix sorted, and the other thing I've done is sort out the casings for it. Now obviously traditionally with black pudding you also use hog casings, but I've found sometimes if you overfill them, because they'll expand, they can blow, so they'll explode. So if you make it for the first time, I'd use these beef runners, and that's what I use. They're thicker and you don't have to prick them whilst cooking. So I'll show you how I tie them off. I've done one already. So what you do, find the end, and the chef in me here likes to get everything organised. I've already cut my butcher's twine, so I'll place it over the end of the runner, give myself about an inch at the end, and just pull tight, because this is the most important part, because if you have it too loose or it's not tight enough, when you come to fill it, your black pudding mix will go everywhere. And the first time I made it, I made that mistake, and that's why also you'll see when I fill them, I work in a big tray. So anyway, when you've done a few knots, get this loose bit of runner, place it over the top, and then tie some more knots, and this will make sure it's really secure. So I'll do this about 3 or 4 times, and I'll try and film this best I can without getting my hands in the way, so you have to bear with me, but it is really quite straightforward. So right, once you've done your knots, I'll just bring the string together, loop it round, put it tight, and I'll cut off the excess. For me, I just it makes a little bit nice presentation, but also when you come to cutting your black puddings into individual puddings, you can hang them, store them a bit better. So these are the skins done, and obviously like any of the skins that you use for sausage making and black pudding making, they come salted in a big pack. I think mine come in about a 4 kilo pack. So I'll take out what I need, re-vacuum pack them, rinse them off in cold water. I let them sit overnight in the cold water, and then about an hour before I want to use them, I'll sit them in warm water. So let me get the rest of the bits sorted out, and we'll start loading them. Right, now's the time to stuff them, and all I use is my large sausage nozzle, biggest one I've got. And the other thing I found to make it easy is just the top of a drinks bottle cut in half. So what you do is get the end of one of your runners, and you just load a bit of it onto the nozzle, just enough so you can hold it steady. Doesn't need to be fully loaded. Just like that. Then you get your bottle and you sit it inside, and then with a ladle just spoon it in, just like that, and you keep going until you got enough mixing, but you can see it starting to work its way down. And that's all you do. Just keep filling them until it reaches the bottom, a bit at a time, and just take your time with it. You don't need to rush, but this is where it will get a little bit messy. And like I said, you want to work with a big tray or something underneath. And that's it. So let me get these filled, and then we'll tie them all off. Once you've got your runners all filled, it's time to divide them up into actual individual puddings. So what I'll do is let's turn this around. So I'll start at the end, and I'll put my string underneath. So tying them off, get your desired size, and we'll go for about a 4 or 5 inch one. And just tie it off like that. But you want to leave it with a bit of expansion gap, because if you fill your whole casings, come to tie it off, they might burst. But also if you're lucky enough to tie them all off and they feel rock hard, when you come to cook them they will burst. So they need that space, so when the blood does cook it's got room to expand. So it's the same as tying it off. Once you give it 3 or 4 knots, I loop it like that, just cut off the excess, then in theory that is your first pudding. But then what you do is get a second bit of string, put it about 1 inch behind your first knot, same process again, tie it all off, like so. So you got a loop, cut off that, so then that's it. So that is actually your first pudding. So what you'll do is carry on along, so you've tied them all off, then you cut it there. So you get on and get these all linked up. So once you've got all your black puddings tied up and linked, it's time to separate them. When I was on about earlier where you tie your 2 ends off, this middle bit, just carefully cut into it to squeeze out the excess pudding mix, and then just cut straight along, and that's it. Looks messy, but don't worry, it will rinse off in the pan. And that's your pudding. So go to the end, just squeeze it out. I'd still take your time on it, because you don't put too much pressure on them, especially with the knots. If you tie them well enough they should be fine, but sometimes it can still slip underneath. That's why I give a good bit of overhang. So that's it. So just carry on cutting all of them off, and then they're nearly complete. Once you've separated all your black puddings, it's time for the cooking. And what I've got here is my large pan, and the water, you want it between 80 and 85 degrees. Nothing boiling, it's just a nice slow cook. That's all you need. And also when you leave your loops on the black puddings on the string, makes it easy to put them in. So just lower them in carefully, and I cook mine in batches. Don't try and fill it. Depending how big your pan is, you can get a few in. But just load them all in, nice and carefully. And they're going to take, depending on the size and how many you put in, but generally they're going to take between 30 and 45 minutes to cook. So that's it, so just leave them in there 30 minutes to 45 minutes, then they're done. Well, here they are, all finished. I've made a couple of larger ones. I have to give my pap one, you see, so he likes the big ones. And I make just normal size ones. But they're starting to colour up really nicely now. They've only been out 5 minutes. So of course the underneath is still a little bit wet. But every couple of minutes I'll just turn them over like that. Then they'll start to go black. But I hope you've liked this one. I'm just going to slice one up. See what it's like. So I'll get this little fella. Still nice and hot. Look at that. Beautiful. I say I grate my back fat. I don't cut it up into dice. It's just my little thing on my black pudding. And there it is. You can eat the beef or the casings or peel it off. That's beautiful. Nice bit of fried egg, bit of bacon, sausage. It's a winner. So I hope you found this video helpful. Give it a bash, because I say it's not very hard at all to make your own black pudding. And it freezes well, so you can make a batch like this. If you don't sell it, you've got plenty in the freezer to last you a few months. See you soon for another one.